Hi there and welcome back to Lucy's Low Carb Kitchen. Today we're going to be making lasagna, and for that we're going to be using some spinach pasta, and for this I've used a recipe by Katie Caldesi, and I'm going to be showing you how to make the pasta sheets before we go on to make the actual lasagna. For the ingredients for the spinach pasta, some fresh spinach, some psyllium husk, and this is the giant bag of psyllium husk that I have that's going to last me about 3 years, I think. Some fresh milk, 4 eggs, and some salt. I always use Himalayan pink salt. The spinach, I'm going to try this method here. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to try something else. So I've got a kettle of boiling water. I'm going to pour the boiling water onto the spinach. So that has turned into basically a third of what was originally in the colander, and just going to squeeze it very, very hard, as much of the liquid out. We really don't want it to be soggy. So all that spinach has made this much cooked or dehydrated spinach, so let's see how much that's going to weigh. Okay, let's have a look, see what we've got. It's not looking very promising. We've got, looks like we've got 220 grams and we need 300. Just popped out to the garden and got some kale and some chard, and see if we can make up the volume with that. So now we're going to load the spinach and the other ingredients into the food processor. The salt. That was half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of psyllium husk, 4 eggs, and the 8 tablespoons of milk. And we're just going to blitz that for a few minutes. So now we're going to spread the mixture between 2 baking trays, and I'm using some reusable silica based paper to stop it from sticking. Anything that you cook that has psyllium husk in it is incredibly sticky, so it's well advised to not try using, for instance, grease-proof paper. If you can use baking paper, you can use, but you need to probably best to oil it first before you use it. So there we go, and we're going to even these out. So in order to even it out, the best thing to do is to get another one of these and just either use your hands, unfortunately mine's starting to get a bit messy, or a spreader like this, and just spread it out until it's nice and flat and even across the baking tray. So here we have the pasta ready to go into the oven. Pretty much looks like grass, doesn't it? We're going to put the oven on 200, it says 220, but as we know from experience, my oven cooks pretty fast. So let's put the 2 sheets now into the oven. Okay, and we'll check back with those in about 8 to 10 minutes. So I've taken the pasta out of the oven, so let's just have a feel, see if it's, yeah, that seems okay. And this one also, yeah, that seems fine. And there we go, there's a plate full of pasta slices to be used in the lasagna when I make that a bit later. For the Bolognese sauce, we're going to be using some 20% fat beef mince. Remember, the fattier the better when you're low carbing. I like to put a bit of bacon or chorizo in, so I've got a little bit of chorizo I'm going to be using. Here we've got red pepper, some leek, some onions, some garlic. I might put some fresh garlic in as well, oregano, pink, that's a mix of pink and coarse sea salt, and freshly ground black pepper. So now we're going to make the Bolognese sauce for the lasagna. So first of all, we're going to fry the mince with the chorizo. I'm not adding any fat to this because there's plenty of fat in the meat and in the chorizo. But next I'm going to add the onions and the leeks to the meat and let those cook through for a couple of minutes. Okay, next I'm going to add the garlic and the red pepper. And also I'll add a few spices at this point, so some salt. You always need plenty of salt when you're on a low carb diet. Black pepper. Plenty of black pepper. A bit more garlic, so garlic salt, or garlic grinder in this case. And a nice big, say, a teaspoon of oregano. We may add some again later. So I added a bit of mushroom that I found in the fridge and just stirred that through. And now I'm going to add the tin of tomatoes. So I like to use chopped tomatoes. And I'll also add some tomato puree, a few squirts of that, just to help thicken it up. I'm going to fill up my can with some water. It's about half of the can. Swish it around to get all the rest of the tomato out of the can, and then just add that also as needed to the sauce. Stir that all around nicely and let it cook for a few minutes. And there you have your Bolognese sauce, and it will thicken up. So if you leave it to cook for 5 or 10 minutes, it'll be nice and thick. Taste it again to see if it's got enough herbs and salt and pepper and things for your taste, and add more if you need them. Now for the sauce, for the white sauce, we're going to be using some double cream, some grated cheese. This is a mix of cheddar and mozzarella. This is some other grated cheese, actually that's not for the sauce, that's for the topping later, and some cream cheese. We're going to pour the double cream into the pan. This is an incredibly simple way of making a white sauce, cheese sauce, white sauce, whatever you need. I can't believe that nobody told me about this years ago, and that I've been struggling with making, I could do it, but with making bechamels it's so much more complicated. And then you get some cream cheese, and literally just put the cream cheese into the cream, and we're now going to wait for that to warm through and start to thicken. It'll thicken all by itself, just the combination of the cream cheese and the double cream. So you don't need any flour, don't need any corn flour, this is all you need. So you can see that the cream cheese is starting to melt and to melt into the double cream. So there you can see it's starting to really thicken nicely. So now we can add some salt and some pepper and the grated cheese. That's going to make a lovely thick cheese sauce ready for layering up our lasagna. So now we're going to make the lasagna, combining all of the elements. So we've got the cheese sauce, the Bolognese sauce, and the spinach lasagna slices. And I've already greased the baking dish that I'm going to be using to layer up the lasagna. Okay, so we take some of the meat and place that into the bottom of the baking dish. Spread it out as we go. We've got plenty, so we don't have to skimp. I'm going to be doing a few layers. Make sure there's a nice amount on the bottom layer. Okay, now we want some of the lovely creamy cheese sauce. So, ooh, look at that. Just squish it on. Now we're going to use the pasta slices, the special ones that we've made. 2, 3. So there's one layer. Now we need another layer of meat. And you can of course do this with all sorts of other ingredients. You could just have a vegetarian one if you wanted. You could use pork. Pork's very nice in a lasagna as well. Lamb, it becomes a bit more like a moussaka if you use lamb. But you can use any mixture of vegetables, and I've just used what I've got. So I've added the leek and the pepper and the half a mushroom. Okay, another layer of cheese sauce. Very stringy, this mozzarella, making a nice mess. Another layer of the pasta. It's actually really nice to work with, this spinach pasta. Very easy to work with. A nice piece of meat. Okay, I've still got the top layer to do as well, so I make sure I leave enough for the top. Just do one more scoop of lasagna slices. Perfect. Now, get the rest of the sauce, dribble it over the top. And now, if you remember, we've got some cheese here. This is pecorino. So I'm just going to put some of that. You can use, you can just use more of the mozzarella and cheddar if you want. We just happen to have some pecorino in the fridge, so I'm using that. There we go. Nice big twists of black pepper. And something else that I like to use is a little bit of, just a tiny bit of ground nutmeg on anything cheesy, saucy that bakes in the oven. Just like that. So there we have it. Lasagna ready for the oven.